Hi, I'm Sophie Hawkins from Thai Massage and Ayurveda London, and I'd like to talk to you about the Hesch Method. So the Hesch Method is a method of realigning the skeletal system, starting with the pelvis, that was developed by Jerry Hesch about 30 years ago. And he's been practicing and helping people out of pain due to misalignment of bones for over 30 years now. I'm a practitioner of the Hesch Method, and I can attest that in many instances, this can be a key to help people get out of chronic pain due to misalignment. So what do I mean by misalignment? It means that when you look at the pelvis, or when you feel your pelvis, if you're lying flat on a flat surface, if one of these bones is higher than the other, so if you put your hands on the corners of your hip bones, and one feels higher than the other, or it feels like one's further back, or one's lower than the other, then that's a sign of an asymmetry in the pelvis. And when there's an asymmetry in the pelvis, it's going to pull on the muscles in the low back. So as it pulls on those muscles, it's going to create tension and pain. And it will also create an asymmetry in the gait when you're walking. So you can develop wear and tear on the joints due to this misalignment that's in the pelvis. And the Hesch method is a very gentle treatment for realigning this whole structure. Now, when there's a misalignment in the pelvis, there will also be a corresponding compensation, often both below and above the pelvis. So we start by aligning the pelvis, making sure that it's straight, and then we go down the legs to the feet and make sure that the feet and the legs, that there's not a twist or a turn or at the knees. Maybe one of the bones of the femur, one of the leg bones is more forward than the other. So we start here at the pelvis, we work our way down to the feet, and then we go up the spine to the neck, shoulders, and right into the jaw. So when you have something going on here that isn't straight, you're going to have something above and below that may be where you feel the pain. Maybe you don't feel so much discomfort in the pelvis, but you feel, oh, you've got this neck problem that never goes away, that you keep going to the chiropractor or the osteopath over and over again to get treated, and you have to keep going back because there's something here that's at the root of it. So as an example, there's a condition called side glide dysfunction, which means that one of your hip bones so your femur, your big leg bone, comes up into this socket here, and sometimes it can migrate, usually to the right, but not always, but usually to the right. It will migrate out and get stuck at end range, meaning that instead of being in the center of the socket, it's a little out to the right. And I can feel that when I'm working on someone. When I palpate their hips, it'll be like, oh, this one's just slightly out more than this one. And then the muscles along here, in through the glute medius, and will be tighter on the left side, more constricted, and they'll be strained on the right side. That takes about 5 minutes of Hesch method treatment to fix. And then you can treat yourself at home with this method. So once we shift the hip back into its proper place in the socket, then often discomfort that sometimes is in the low back with that misalignment, sometimes it's in the hip. It depends how long it's been going on. Um, for me, it was probably had been there for close to 40 years before it really started to cause a lot of discomfort. And I didn't just feel the discomfort in my hip, I also felt it in my low back because everything was shifted, and it will pull the last two vertebrae out to the right as well. And so I felt discomfort in my hip, my low back, my right neck. I always had an issue with my right neck, and also my right knee. So that started to cause me a lot of discomfort, but not until I got into my around, late 40s. So sometimes, if you do yoga, if you stretch a lot, if you have certain activities in your life that kind of keep you mobile, you can avoid some of the pain for quite a while. But you might also notice that when you're doing those activities that there's an imbalance from one side to the other. One side of the adductors in the inner thigh might be tighter than the other side. So all of those kind of muscular imbalances can have its root in a misalignment of the whole skeletal system. Now, why do we have misalignments? Well, I can think of lots of reasons. Sometimes it's an injury. Sometimes you'll have an impact, maybe a car accident. For me, it was an injury in dance that I can remember when I was about 10 years old. Other people, a lot of women will carry babies on their right hip. So you do something consistently over and over again that's asymmetrical, that especially if you're weight bearing, that can cause a misalignment over time where the bone gets stuck at end range. So getting in and out of a car always to one side, maybe doing something on a computer where you're always turned in one direction. So you cross your legs one way, not the other, right? So all of these things that we do that we're maybe not aware of can cause a misalignment down the road. Now, sometimes it's just muscular. It can be worked out with massage, and then you make a change in the way you move or the way you perform certain activities in your life. Other times that bone is stuck at end range, and there's the only thing that's going to shift it is going to be a prolonged passive force. So when we treat with the Hesch method, it's a very gentle method. It should not cause any kind of discomfort or pain. Sometimes the person will feel a stretch in a certain area that's been constricted, and that's okay as long as it's not too intense. But we're always looking for comfort. Most of the treatments feel very good to the person. And one of the things that I really, really like about the Hesch method is that once we figure it out and figure what treatments you need to do, you can do them yourself at home. So it's a home treatment method where you don't have to keep coming back over and over again for appointments. You can develop a weekly schedule. Often it's once a week for 10-15 minutes. Sometimes it can be more than that depending on what you need to do, what you do in your life. If you are doing a lot of asymmetrical movements in your life. Right now I'm in Mexico, and so the walking here is very uneven on the sidewalks, and I'm finding I'm having to treat myself a little more frequently than I did when I was back in Canada. So that's a brief introduction to the Hesch method. Many people have found that it is an excellent way to relieve pain that they've been feeling for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So there's some testimonials on my website. You can also look up Jerry Hesch on YouTube and watch him work and see testimonials from his clients. And you can also access his website from my website, sophie-hawkins.com. So I hope this gives you a little more information about the Hesch method, and I will be making some more videos to tell you more about it in the future. Okay, thank you. Namaste.